Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here, and today the devs put some clarification on changes that they want to make before 8.7.0 releases, which is the Steady Pulse chapter featuring the original survivor Arella Rose. So they've changed a couple things here. We're going to talk about it. This is a strange one for me, everybody. Let's get into it here. As we move towards the 8.7.0 release, we wanted to share a small update to clarify some things prior to the live patch notes. Click here for the details, then they have links to the forums and the Reddit. I will provide you with the link to the forums if you want to look at it yourself in the description below. But all right, we're going to jump right into it here. So here we go. Update to Haste and Hinder. As we move towards 8.7.0, we wanted to thank everyone for trying out the PTB and for sharing valuable feedback. We wanted to go over some notable changes that you can expect. Haste and hindered stacking. The community has shared a lot of valuable feedback regarding the haste and hindered stacking changes as tested on the PTB, and after careful consideration by the design team, we will not be moving forward with all of the changes. We will be moving forward, allowing haste and hindered to stack again. It's a curious one for me. The perks you saw in the PTB will continue to go live in 8.7.0 while we monitor their usage on the live servers. The exception will be Champion of Light. This will receive change to the release. Keep an eye out for the patch notes for full details. So what was proposed here was that they were going to make it so that whenever you had actions that would give haste or hindered, it would cap out at the maximum effect of whatever your best thing was. You couldn't stack everything on top of one another. For example, if I was using the clown's invigoration bottles, which increases my speed, I wouldn't be able to stack that with rapid brutality as well. I would only get the bonus for the invigoration bottles. So it prevented you from stacking multiple things on top of one another. And while it wasn't very popular, the example that they put in the dev notes was not allowing, for example, made for this and hope speed boosts to stack and combine. I wish they would have stuck with it. I don't know why they didn't, because I feel like that this just inhibits the devs from creating perks or powers without having to look over their shoulder constantly and think, okay, but what if they combine it with this? What if they combine it with that? If you know that everything just stands on its own, then it allows you to have that flexibility to create perks that can be great all by themselves, because you don't have to worry about them being stacked with something else, that they're just going to have to stand on their own 2 feet. It gives them the ability to create things without having to have them all in a semi-nerf state where you have to pile a bunch of them on to get max value out of them. Instead of, like, if you just pick one, it doesn't matter if they have, you know, 3 perks that bring haste or hindered, that only one of them is going to be in effect at any given time. I think it would have given a lot more ability for people to explore other perks instead of stacking a bunch of things together. And as I said, I think it prohibits dev creativity. Like, you can see it here that they're saying that they're going to keep the change in here to Boon Dark Theory, which provides it's going to provide a 3% speed increase when you're in the effect of the boon. Normally it was 2%. They were able to bump it up to 3% because they felt comfortable doing it without having to worry about it stacking with other effects. But now it's going to stack with other effects. So it's like we've gone backwards. You've made Boon Dark Theory better. And yeah, I don't know. So I hope they rethink this whole idea. I feel like it's the healthiest for the game if you can make it so that people can't stack a bunch of effects on top of one another, but for whatever reason they've decided to go back on that. All right, next we have option trial outcomes. With the new abandon option added for killers, we've noticed that there's some confusion around the results of different scenarios. I'm not sure that this is going to clear up any of the confusion, but we're going to read this anyway. All right, killer scenario 1. If all survivors are bots, wait, why is that highlighted? Clickable? If all survivors are bots, the killer can abandon the match without receiving a disconnection penalty, and the match is considered a draw. This is strange. Like, I don't know why that wouldn't be considered a win. I don't know. Is this supposed to, like, discourage killers from playing in such a way that all of the survivors would abandon? So if this happens, then the killer is forced to go around and do cleanup and pick up all the bots, hook them, and finish the game. Otherwise, it's going to be considered a draw and not a win for the killer. I mean, I do think that there is some... There are some toxic killers out there who want to, like, force all of the survivors to go into abandon mode and turn into bots, as if it's some, like, hidden secret achievement where they'll slug everybody and bleed them out to force them to abandon and be bots. So I don't know if this is supposed to discourage that and say, well, you know, you're going to have to pick up because otherwise it's going to be a draw. It's not going to be a win for you. I don't know. If the match has continued for 10 consecutive minutes without a generator being completed or regressed, the killer can abandon the match without receiving a disconnection penalty, and the match is considered a loss. So if if you're too efficient killing the first 2 survivors as killer, and then you have these last 2 people who are like, well, we know we're not going to get 2 gens, 3 gens, 4 gens, or 5 gens done. We're just going to hide it out until the other person gets found, and then the surviving one would try to get hatched. That's the idea there, right? Because you just know that it's impossible for you to get that many gens done without revealing yourself and putting yourself in a position to be the one who is sacrificed. So you often find the last 2 survivors with an insurmountable task facing them, hiding out. And if they were to draw it out for 10 minutes, then the killer could just say, okay, you know what? They're locker hopping one to another. I can't find them. I'm just going to bail. But that's considered a loss on the killer. I don't know. Why is that considered a loss? Shouldn't that be a draw? I don't know. I have had scenarios where the killer really wanted the 4K and they kept finding the second to last person and letting them go off their shoulder, downing them, picking them up, carrying them around until they could find me, and they were drawing it out, trying to find me, which, you know, those scenarios exist as well. But, you know, I think that one should probably be a draw. I don't know. We've had a couple content creators who are pretty well known in the space who were making builds to specifically, and they talk about it here in this note, developer note, due to a bug, the endgame screen currently shows survivors as sacrificed. This will be fixed in an upcoming bug fix patch. So we had some high profile content creators who were making videos and saying, hey, if you can hold down this 3-gen for 10 minutes, then you can abandon, and then you instantly sacrifice the survivors. So they would, like, play a game for survivors, not going to down anybody, just for gen defense and making sure that nobody got a gen done for 10 minutes, and then they would abandon the game and it would show all 4 survivors sacrificed. I was even told by my chat that this would allow you to get an adept doing this. So it became, you know, obviously more high profile in the community based on those videos. I don't know. I think I maybe saw one person trying to do it to me and they failed. So I don't know how much that's gone through the community with people attempting it. I don't really think it's worth it to even try it anyway. I mean, now they've made it so that this is considered a loss. So even when it wasn't considered a loss, I don't know how much it was worth it, because you'd spend like 20 minutes trying to do it in game. I'm not sure that the time was well spent doing it. But yeah, so people were doing it because they thought, oh, easy 4K, I just got to hold this 3-gen, and then boom. So there was even one content creator who was doing it with a ghoul who had no perks and had no add-ons, and they were able to hold the 3-gen for 10 minutes and abandon and kill the whole team. So it was pretty startling. Anyway, so they're saying that this scenario, number 2, is a loss. 10 minutes with no generators being completed. So that one should be a draw as well. I don't know. Not sure. Okay, now for survivors. Scenario 1, when all the remaining survivors left in the trial are bots. The last survivor can abandon the match without receiving a disconnection penalty, and the match is considered a draw. Okay. In scenario 2, when all survivors alive in the trial are in the dying state, survivors can abandon the match without receiving a disconnection penalty, and the match is considered a draw. Where are the losses for survivors? When is it ever a loss for a survivor when they abandon? So again, like, this would be the scenario where the killer has slugged all 4 people, and then you can just abandon, and that's considered a draw? I don't know. I'm not sure. It's kind of weird. And also, so it says when all survivors alive in the trial are in the dying state. What if I'm the last survivor alive in the dying state and then I'm downed? So I'm the last survivor. I get downed. Then I can abandon before they hook me or mori me. And then that's considered a draw? I don't take a loss for that? I really have a lot of questions about this. I think maybe that this isn't telling the whole picture, or if it is, it's unusual to me. Because effectively what you're telling me here is that if I'm the last survivor, I get down, and before the killer can mori me, if I quickly hit abandon, that won't be considered a loss for me, and I'll get a draw out of that. So it won't negatively affect my matchmaking rating because I'll bounce out. It's very unusual. You know, I might be the only survivor who is going to get soft games because I don't generally abandon. I'll watch the mori. So if I'm losing MMR, I'm going to get softer games, everybody, because I'm going to be the one who isn't taking all these draws. I'll be getting actual losses like I should, and I'll have the lowest MMR. So I don't know what's going on here. So then they give this graphic that says, okay, here's all the scenarios: killer scenario 1, killer scenario 2, survivor scenario 1, survivor scenario 2. Right. So we had draw, loss, draw, draw. Where are the losses for survivor? Do the survivors ever lose? Is there any scenario where the survivor can abandon and lose? I don't understand this. So blood points that are earned in match are kept. So that's check. Everybody gets to keep their blood points when they abandon. All right. So no negative there. Your match experience points are also kept. Okay. So that's raising up your devotion and helping you earn those iridescent shards. Right. So that's all kept. Challenge progress is kept, even with the new quest system coming in. Apparently you aren't going to lose anything if you ever abandon, and emblem scores are kept. So what are we going to lose? Items and add-ons? No. I mean, if you're going to die in the game anyway, that would be lost already, right? So there's, you know, no loss there really, right? We covered the match outcomes here, and there's no disconnection penalty for abandoning. Counts as a completed trial? No. So I don't know, you know, what that would affect. Is that just affecting statistics in game? Like whenever anybody abandons, then it doesn't count as a trial for Dead by Daylight's internal statistics. I don't really know what that means. Survivors replaced by a bot in scenario 1 and scenario 2 for abandoning. So the bot is the one who gets moried if you're the last one in there. See You in the Fog, the Dead by Daylight team. This is a very, very strange one for me. There are some unusual circumstances and scenarios here where I don't know about the decision making. Let's look at some of the Twitter comments and see what people think. Here's one again. This is talking about the haste and hindering stacking. This is such a massive step back. Well, I do think certain things needed tweaking, like not overbuffing Champion of Light and not making fixated considered haste, so you could still do small synergistic things like that. This was an overall healthy change that would make the game feel better in the long run. I very much hope you guys will reconsider. Even a poll to gauge feedback after the PTB would have been nice before you did this. Removing haste stacking for actual haste perks like Play With Your Food, Rapid, Power of 2, Blood Pact, etc. was a very good direction, and you guys giving the perks buffs to compensate, no longer stacking, was fantastic. It opened so many perk slots while removing frustrating gameplay. I completely agree with this. I think the actual change that should be made is buffing the individual perks to stand on their own instead of removing the haste and hindering. Hex says, so I'm a bit confused. 3-genning aside, if survivors choose to hide and not do gens for 10 minutes and the killer abandons, the killer loses? Yeah, it's an unusual one. Even though it's the survivors who are refusing to do objectives or take part in normal gameplay, at the very least, that should also be a draw. Yeah, I think that's more draw. I think that's more of a draw. I don't know. So there is some talk that there's going to be some changes to people who are hiding, that they're going to be revealed more quickly and things like that. So maybe this isn't going to come into play as much as you might think with the 10 minutes. I don't know. I'm confused at how Survivor is giving up when slugged is a draw and not a loss. So if I get 4 people slugged and stick around in the match, I get a loss. But if I abandon, it's a draw. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It's unusual. Let me know what you think about this system and the Haste and Hinder thing. That's all I have to show you today. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate the time that you spend here with me on my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, join the discussion. Let me know what you think about all this. And subscribe. It's free, right? And don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.